Hello YouTube, welcome to the shop. So today we're going to do a shop tour, so stay tuned. So here's the shop right as you come in the doors. It is a 12-foot by 24-foot shed that we have electrified and heated. The shop is heated by this 8-foot electric radiant heating. I have another one down there right in the center of the screen. Comes through conduit. All the electrical comes through conduit and comes in this main panel. So the first machine whenever you come in the shop is a Porter Cable 15-inch drill press. We purchased this brand new. It has a 1 horsepower motor, and I've never stalled it, but I have slipped the belts a few times. Very happy with this drill press. And the next machine is a DeWalt miter saw. It's sitting on a Ryobi stand, and this is one of the earlier machines we purchased. That's a 12-inch Diablo blade. That is still the original blade. This is an older saw, and we have a scrap bin and a trash bin under it, and then in the back I usually store the most of the cutoffs and larger pieces of scrap wood. There's all kinds in here, like walnut, oak, cherry. There's some maple in there. And then right above that is our first cabinet. Now, I purchased all the cabinets in the shop for about $500. And pretty much all of them are filled. With this is usually like on the top shelf is my brushes, stains and stuff, but I keep the heat off in the wintertime, so most of that stuff's in the basement. Routers, all my routing bits are in the next shelf. Staplers, nailers, and Dremel, which I don't use too often. And then on the top's just miscellaneous stuff I don't really use too often. And then the next machine is a Delta Rockwell shaper. It's got a solid cast iron top and a homemade fence. I'll put a link in the description or in the cards. But the fence just has a simple lever arm and actuators, and a cam lock it down to the bottom. I rewired this. This thing was 3-phase originally, and then I put a simple converter on it to go from single-phase power input to 3-phase power output with a magnetic motor starter. This is supposedly made in the USA, and it's pretty darn cheap. This Chinese blocks and all the controls for the magnetic motor starter are much higher quality. I drilled all the holes, put rubber grommets on them. Sometime I'll get around to restoring this machine. I've had it for a few years and never got around to restoring it yet. In the back there's some more lumber storage and project storage. You can see some cherry boards there. This is a piece of swamp oak. For 220 volt power I have two 220 volt 30 amp plugs that are on separate circuits. There's one on this side of the shop and then another right there. This plug here operates the shaper and the lathe. wire, scrap wire I have. And then some more cabinets. So we're getting into some of the stuff for the Powermatic. Extra tool rests, plugs, and some sawdust in that container, some sandpaper. Not too much in that cabinet. In here we have 2 extra banjos for the lathe, base plates, safety shield, and some more face plates. In this cabinet, I've got the big chuck for the Powermatic and all of its accessories and turning supplies with another 4-jaw smaller chuck here and a 1-way vacuum adapter. DeWalt vacuum, some sandpaper, and then now getting down to the actual Powermatic. I have another video of this machine. I restored this about less than a year ago, and I did the pinstriping, did the controls, and kind of a teaser right now. I've been working on a lathe duplicator, running into some problems with it, but you guys kind of get the gist of where I'm going right now. I did all the detailing, and the plans for this machine is to replace some of these pulleys with some double groove cast iron pulleys. There's kind of a bad knock. There's so much wear in these pulleys that it's pretty loud to use. And this is powered by a 3-horsepower, 3-phase variable speed motor with a VFD on it. And the VFD I keep inside the cabinet. So the next couple machines are air compressors. I have a little Craftsman 150 psi air compressor, and then a larger, I think 125 or 100 psi air compressor. I can't think of it. It's a Speed Air and was repainted by my brother. And then I have some piping that goes along, that goes up and through around to my hose reel. I've got 100 feet of hose on this hose reel, and that's plenty for doing any spraying outside the shop. In the next cabinet, I usually keep some drill bits and screws and Allen keys in this cabinet with an oscillator and a jigsaw. And then I keep all my screws easily accessible on one of these Harbor Freight storage units. I made this one wall mount. I had to drill some holes in it to make it wall mount. And this is one of the workbenches. The other workbench I have is my outfeed table. I've got some older equipment down here. That's a little Montgomery Ward drum sander and a compressor pump, glue, and a ton of motors. Also down here I have a cutter head in this box to a 20-inch planer. Sometime I plan on building a homemade planer and tearing apart my current planer for the molding head and having a kind of a two cutter head planer. All the drawers are filled with wrenches, screwdrivers, hammers, the usual stuff for a wood shop. This is the one I use the most, but. And then here is the drum sander with a grinder sitting on it. It's quite the machine. Unfortunately, I haven't used it as much as I'd hoped. I haven't been out here enough. And in this cabinet, some more. This is kind of like a sanding cabinet. And got my DeWalt sander. And then I have a squirrel cage blower on this window. And I open up the window in the summertime, and this evacuates all the dust, the airborne dust in the shop, because I don't have any filtration units or sufficient filtration units to do this. And this works pretty well. It'll clear the entire shop of from dense fog to clear pretty quickly. Clamps. Some more clamps. And I utilize some of the unused space in my loft. And then below all this, I have a humongous pile of sawdust. So a friend of mine uses this sawdust for bedding for horses. And I make quite a bit of it, so I'm happy to get rid of it. She's happy to take it. And then here is the first machine we ever bought. This is a Delta 6-inch jointer with a mobile base. I've used this quite a bit, and it's got a decent amount of power to be able to do whatever I need. All cast iron except for the stand. The stand's steel. 3/4 horsepower, like a 13-amp motor, which I'm surprised they only rated it at 3/4 horses. Then sitting next to that is a Foley bell saw, planer molder. I wired this machine, put the magnetic motor starter on it, and put a 5-horsepower motor on it. It's got 2 belts. And the cool thing about this machine is that I purchased it used, but it never had a motor on it, so I'm really the first person to ever use this machine. You can kind of see the gearbox and cutter head. It's got rubber rollies, which I'm not a fan of. I'd like to swap those out for something that has some teeth that can actually dig into something. And it's 220 volt, probably about the max for this circuit. In this cabinet, I keep some of the supplies for the planers and joiners, spare projects, bag full of electrical plugs. This box is drill bits, hand planes, and then files and hammers, usual stuff. More screwdrivers. You never have enough. And this is some of my supplies for the table saw. Diablo blades with a rigid 12-inch one for my miter saw. I've got a spare dado stack back there, and then my main dado stack here. Some wall storage for stuff for the table saw, a miter gauge, and some cleaning supplies. Then I have a customer's project back here. This is a boatload of walnut lumber for a railing that I'm going to be building. Here are some slabs. The one in the middle is burl, oak burl, and on the 2 on either side are walnut, just walnut slabs. And that's all sitting next to my table saw. This is a Jet CTAS-10 table saw. I restored it years ago, and I have a video series on that. And I keep a blade stabilizer on it. I think that's a 60-tooth blade. You kind of see in there. I put on a Biesmeyer fence. This came off of my old contractor table saw. And then I painted it up with Rust-Oleum and put it on here. My boss actually ended up wiring this. I got him a switch for it, and he redid the magnetic motor starter for the back. Miscellaneous stuff and sockets and sanders down here. I have a dovetailing jig down there. My bandsaw, 14-inch bandsaw with a spare planer back here. This is a Delta Rockwell 12-inch planer with another cabinet and more stuff and junk up there. Amazing how it builds up. Some clamps, sander, and jigs. And we're back to the beginning with the doors and then a horrible air filtration unit. Well, here's a tour of my shop. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. Like this video, share it. Follow me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page now and on Google+. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.